Welcome back. A great show about the future and what it may hold, things and ways that you can, kind of have some new ideas, some new direction. Today from NWG Real Estate, Nick Glant is here. Welcome back, Nick. How you doing?
Thanks for having me, Ben.
Oh yeah, of course. And he is brought Steve Curran. Steve, I've known you for a long time, man.
Yeah.
High school.
Go Wolverines.
Go Wolverines. That's right. Like 11 years in a row or something.
Yeah. Do you even keep track after
that? I don't. When I ran out of fingers, I was like, hey, we're good. Well, Nick and Steve are here. And, Steve, you're starting kind of this new division of NWG. And NWG's been so successful over the past, 7 years now, Nick?
Just over 5.
5 years. And, you're specializing in different areas. And Steve brings us Eastside expertise. Tell us a little bit about kind of that new mold or that new division that you're bringing to NWG.
Well, NWG has been really successful carving out their niche in certain sub-markets and certain brands, and it's not just exclusive to the luxury market. And I'm real excited about the opportunity to help bring that brand to the East Side, where they already have a substantial presence and have already been doing a pretty good share of business over there, but just expanding that brand and, helping take things to the next level there.
Is there a big difference between that Seattle market and the East Side market outside of a toll?
Yes, they're a completely different animal, and that's one of the things that Steve brings to the table is he's got great expertise on the pulse of the market in the East Side, and we've had some good market share gains in the West Bellevue and Mercer Island, Kirkland markets, but Steve has some credibility and name recognition in that neighborhood and understands the nuances of each submarket within the neighborhood. And it is crucial to have that presence. I mean, information is shared so easily these days, so it's easy for us to get stats and data on across the lake market. But for us to really have a pulse on it, we need someone who's on the battlefield in person, and Steve brings that to the table. So,
talk a little bit about the East Side market as you see it. We have a lot of listeners on the East Side, and it being so different. What do you see that's going on the East Side?
I guess the big thing right now is what we're not seeing, which is inventory. That, as far as statistics go from, the high, of peak summer of 2007 relative to inventory, we're off right now on the East Side, right about 55%.
What does that mean? You're off 55% on inventory?
There's 55% fewer homes available right now for sale. And one thing that we're seeing is a lot of the buyers that are coming into the marketplace, they have certain expectations relative to negotiations and how that's going to go from a pricing standpoint. Are they going to have 10 homes to look at and 5 of them are going to be acceptable? And, they're getting out there and the market's a little bit different than their expectations just because there isn't as much to choose from.
So what can somebody do? I mean, you're out there, you're looking at houses and the house you want isn't there. Cause we have that on what we call our pre-approved buyer side. And there's a lot of people who they do want to buy a house and this lack of inventory is obvious, is definitely a big reason for that. How do you help somebody continue to want to buy a home, keep that vision of being a homeowner in the future, and what options do they have if they just can't find the house that's right?
Well, it's exploring different markets, and a lot of it comes down to the individual person, the couple, what their needs are, what the timing is. For a lot of the people, the recommendation still is to be patient, that this isn't the type of market, this isn't the type of economy just to go out and do something for the sake of doing it. It's making sure that you're making a decision that you're going to be happy about 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 6 years from now. And that's a lot of it, that, being patient, making sure that everything lines up.
A little bit of just sticking to your guns.
Yeah.
You have this plan.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. It's sticking to your guns, making sure from a financing standpoint that you're getting into something that you're comfortable with, from a location standpoint that it's a place you want to be for, give a length of time, and that also that you're comfortable just right now with the current environment. So, and that's also what we're seeing with demand picking up a little bit just with the start of the year. There have been a fair amount of people, that are kind of, now that we're on the backside to a degree of the shock and awe portion of the credit crisis, that in 08, 09, and early 2010 were rightfully so a little bit frozen up, waiting to do anything. Some of those people are starting to put their life plan back into focus, into action, and they're just tired of sitting things out. So we're starting to see a few more people that are getting engaged, and for lack of a better term, they're moving on with
With their
whatever.
well, in
Yeah.
fact, you actually said before we came on the air that you guys were just involved in a deal with 8 offers on one. I mean, 8 offers. That's incredible right now. I thought most people think you just go pick one up because you want it.
Yeah, well, so that kind of leads to what is our hot topic right now in our office, and especially with Steve and I. Steve's got some experience with working with a lot of builders in the past, and he, over the last 5 years, has seen a few exit the market. And what we're seeing right now is a healthy builder appetite. That people are seeing a noticeable void of 1.5 million up of product that people want to buy and move into. There's just nothing available, so builders are seeing that and wanting to get into the market to create that and fill that void and offer inventory where there's demand. And so this particular piece of property was, short sale property, nothing really that exciting about it, except it was locationally low risk. And what happened was that we engaged our buyer and advised them on a certain price point. They looked at where it was priced and didn't want to go too far above that. And we understand that there's education in the market from a price perspective.
But I mean, that just
8 offers.
Eight offers.
8 offers, and it's and that. We were projecting about 5 to 6, so we weren't shocked by that. There's just not a lot available, so we're trying to get creative and find things that aren't on the market.
I mean, that is so much more positive than what most people think. And actually, yesterday we talked a lot about these headlines. Seattle Times will come out with the market's down 12% year over year, and it kind of comes down. I guess this is one of the reasons it's important to find maybe a specialist in certain areas because it's so pocketed.
It absolutely. I think that's something that's going to be at the forefront of, people's, from a mindset standpoint, and the research they're doing is comparing and contrasting what's going on in the different submarkets. And it is a challenge with a lot of the data. A lot of the headlines are looking at things from a county perspective, even Case-Shiller, Everett, Tacoma, and Seattle, when you have so many different pockets and submarkets that are behaving differently. Eastside, year over year, down 3 to 4%. Areas of Capitol Hill and other areas that are closer in down 1 or 2% year over year. Then you have White Center, some areas of South King County that were down 17, 18%. So you really, you can't paint too broad of a brush relative to what price action is doing, that you really have to look in a given market, not just within a given market, but certain price points. And obviously the 8 offer situation is a bit of an anomaly, and it had a lot to do with pricing relative to this location.
Do you see, and I want to get into some of that builder market and what people are looking for with those new houses, but as the lack of inventory, there certainly are houses on the market. And I want to get your take on kind of that delta, the difference between what people expect and what they want to pay.
We see it a lot. We're still in a market where people want to go back to their friends and family and brag about the deal they got because they feel like they should. And there's some validity to that.
I'd like to brag about the deals I got. I mean, who doesn't, right?
We all want that. We all have that mentality, and we all have gone through a big storm here, and we don't feel like we're fully out of it. So why would we, feel like we're just paying market or even a little bit above it because it's the right location for us? We want to get that deal. The problem is there's just not enough inventory to really go out and find that steal of a deal that's just a perfect scenario. I mean, there are...
Unless you're in these pockets, as Steve kind of alluded to a second ago. I mean, if you're out in these not so nice or different type of areas where maybe there isn't that same demand.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's a great point. I mean, there's still pockets and areas of King County, where you look at the percentage of distress sales. Some of those markets can have roughly 35 to 40% of all sales are distress. So if someone does want a specific short sale or a bank-owned home, if that's what they're looking for from a pricing standpoint, it's absolutely out there. But if they come and take that same mindset into Finney Ridge or Green Lake, it's just not there. Or in this situation where you get a home that's priced unbelievably aggressively in high demand areas, enough people are looking that they're going to correct the inefficient price. And in this case, we obviously don't know just because the listing agent didn't disclose it, but it's our understanding that the price will probably go a little above 20% over list.
And so, I mean, you kind of get to that point where how much do people want to pay for the right property and then still feel that deal, right? I mean, is that, and so when you have that big delta, I know, Nick, you've worked with some people on maybe just finding the right piece of property and putting a house there, which can still feel like the deal. Granted, it's a lot more work.
Yeah, no, I think that we're seeing more of that appetite. I mean, people are saying, well, I'm not finding the perfect house in the perfect location. I'm just going to go find the perfect location and create that perfect home
And then you get that steal on these, these teardowns.
You can. And this deal that got 8 offers was a teardown steal, right? With 8 offers. So you have to be very creative to find that type of home for your client, and usually that means going off market. I mean, what is available to everybody else is getting competition. So if you're really trying to get them a steal on location, you've got to be thinking outside the box. So it's a challenge. It's kind of a fun challenge for us because we get creative and we are able to find some things where they're usually not. But for the general market, it's creating a little bit of a challenge.
Well, guys, we have about 2 minutes left. Again, we're here with Nick Glant and Steve Curran from NWG Real Estate. Looking forward, you guys have a pretty positive spin on what's going to happen in the next year, 2 years, as far as the real estate market?
Things are, I think you can feel in those high demand areas that those markets are starting to find their footing. I think some of the markets that we reference that are having 30 to 40%, percentage of distressed sales, they've still got a little ways to go relative to cleaning through that cycle. And, it's unfortunate for those markets too, just relative to distressed sales leading to more distressed sales. They end up, kind of multiplying. But I think you see the closer in areas, those areas are finding their footing now and are starting to stabilize. But I think, overall, there's still, the headlines are still going to be a little bit more negative before they're positive, even if the underlying statistics are improving, and in some markets fairly dramatically.
Well, it sounds, as you talk about these different markets, that location it's back. I mean, it used to be, no, I just want my McMansion in the new development, wherever it is, and now it seems that people really want to be in the areas that they want to be in more than they want to be in the house that and not worrying so much about the actual location.
Absolutely. Yeah, location's always been the biggest impact and factor in residential investment, and always will be. So.
Well, guys, thanks so much for joining us. Again, that's Nick Glant and Steve Curran with NWG Real Estate. Sticking on that real estate side, your mortgage is obviously important, and a lot of people are hearing about the new HARP program that's going to be coming out here in the next couple months and what positive effects that may have on people who own homes and haven't been able to refinance them. Ryan Leopold's going to come and tell us all about that. We'll be right back. You're listening to Brashenomics.